What is up? It's Diego kicking it with you right here in the asylum. You see over to my left or to my right, whatever way you're looking at the screen, or if you listen to us on the radio, the one, the only Mr. Paul Crosby. What up, brother? How you been?
Great, man. Alive and well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. And like I said before, I've said it before. I said it to you earlier, just a few minutes ago. I'll say it again now that we're out and about. I look at you, and a lot of people look at you as the one of the gatekeepers that kept rock alive during the COVID era. The COVID, we call them the COVID bands. Shit, this is what they call a COVID radio station. This is a COVID project, right? Like you were that guy. You were out there doing it nonstop. Every time you click open social media, anywhere online, you got something going on. You had your hand in something, and then in I think early 2020, I started seeing whispers of Coldwards, and I remember I talked to you about it. I was like, "What is this?" And then you fill me in on it, and you're like, "It's my sons and this, that, and the other." I was like, "Hell yeah!" And then now it's just this monster. So just give us the timeline. Take us on the journey, brother.
Well, first of all, knock on wood, but I believe it or not, through all that COVID stuff, where I mean, even my band Saliva that I was in at the time, we didn't ever really stop doing shows, but for a couple months, I never got COVID, man. So for anybody who did and got over it, kudos, but I never got to experience that, thankfully. But during that time, for the 2 or 3 months where nobody could tour, um, I had been writing a lot of songs, and then and actually the bass player for Coldwards, Richie, um, we were kind of like writing. I started writing stuff, and I was like, Richie, come over and play bass on my stuff I'm writing. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
didn't know if it was going to be like solo project, write some songs to try to get other bands to do whatever. And then, as the COVID thing progressed, I sent the songs over to one of my sons, Sean, the one of the singers in the band, and he's like, dude, let me do some guest vocals on this thing. And then my other son Zach got a hold of it, and it was kind of like, well, let's just do a song together, and we'll release it. And then we kept writing stuff, and each song got better and better, and it was kind of like, well, let's just do a record and release it at some point. And then that just morphed into, then we got a record deal offer, and then it just kind of morphed into this.
yeah, yeah, hell yeah. And dude, hard work pays off. So the album Bloodwork, 1 million streams on Spotify. Did I see that correctly?
You did. It's actually a good ways past that now, and a bunch of streams also on the other platforms. But everybody rants and raves about Spotify, so that's the one we're celebrating, I guess. But yeah, and all of our videos have, I think, close to 2 million streams collectively on our YouTube channel. It's doing great for a band that no one's ever heard of, until just a year or so ago. So
Right.
we're pretty happy with it.
Right. And it's funny how you say the Spotify with the Spotify thing is that's how we celebrate it now. So
Yeah.
it kind of leads me into the next question. What is the differences from, let's just take 99 to 2020, kind of not even restarting, but just starting new, starting, new band, new projects, new this. What's the what's like the trials and tribulations or the biggest things that you didn't think was going to be an obstacle, or there was no obstacles at all? It was just like riding a bicycle, the same thing.
Well, for me, starting a new band at first was kind of a project, but then band, and then going, okay, I'm going to put the pedal down and try to make something out of this. For me, a benefit was having all of the contacts that I have, um, especially in this day and age, man. Starting a new band and getting it anywhere, I don't care who you are, um, it's really, really difficult. I mean, there's what, 20,000 releases every single day just on Spotify. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane. It's like when Saliva got signed back in the day, um, it was hard to get signed, but I mean, you had so many more chances. You know what I meant? Like, people still paid attention, and you would think now with the internet and all that stuff that it would be easier, but it's actually quite harder, because now everybody can be in a band, everybody can make their own record, everybody can release their own music. So the competition is, increased by like 1,000. So,
Right.
but like I said, for me, with this new thing and deciding to go down a new road, the benefit I had was all of the contacts that I had from, my 20 plus years in Saliva and the music business. And then also all the contacts I have for my management company, Paul Crosby Management, managing other bands, and I kind of utilize those things to kind of expedite getting on a label and,
Mm-hmm.
festival shows and all that good stuff. So for me, it was a lot easier, I think, than for your average Joe. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and you're not wrong. Like it's lit podcasting, radio stations, bands, uh, what they call them, the SoundCloud rappers or whatever. Like anybody can do it. So like I guess it's from, you could either take that as shit, that's a lot of competition, or you could take that as hold on, watch this.
Yeah.
This is fun and all, but watch this. We can do this. I can do this. Like you can spin that for, kind of inner competition, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Here's what I tell bands that I currently manage, and then I talk to a lot of bands that inquire about my management and development services, but you know, usually after the conversation, only a small percentage get on, because one thing I tell them is you have to be willing to do all of the things that most other bands and people aren't willing to do. You got to be willing to invest money. It's like there's a whole lot more to it than just posting a song on Spotify and making a Facebook post.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really, really hard work, and you've got to grind harder than all of those other SoundCloud dudes and all of that stuff. And
Yep.
number one is you've got to have better music than a lot of people. But
Yes.
number two is the grind. You could have the best song on the planet, but if you don't got the work ethic, you're not going anywhere. I promise.
Yep. Yep. And it's funny. It kind of answers my next question. I was going to kind of ask what keeps that freshness? Where's that longevity come from? Because you've been in the game for a minute, but still fresh as the day you stepped in the door. My opinion, of course. So like you just keep it sharp by just outgrinding everybody. Basically, you kind of just answered that question, and
Well, that's one part of it, but you also have to pay attention, because the music business, especially the music business, is changing like almost monthly. So
yeah,
by putting the work in and paying attention, and not just focusing just on what you're doing, but keeping an eye on what all the other people that are having some form of success are doing, taking note of how the industry's changing and adapt and change with it. If you're
yeah,
one of the people that are set in your ways, you're going to get left in the dust in about 6 months.
yes, yeah, I agree.
And
I'm a million percent.
I told you earlier, man, I have a philosophy of do all the living you can while you can.
Yeah,
At some point you're not going to be able to grind like that anymore. So grind now and reap the reward later. So
yep.
he who grinds hardest wins the prize.
That's it. That's absolutely it. So we hear a lot, like we've heard it what feels like for 30 years now, going all the way back to, I don't know, the NWA days, if they said rock was dead. And then we had the resurgence of nu metal, and then it went away. And then that next era of rap come through and hip hop, and they said, well, rock is dead. And then we had Gene Simmons coming out and say rock is dead. Yet we have the biggest festivals for 3 and 4 days, hundreds of bands, fans coming out. Oh, not just here in the States, but you go overseas. I know you've seen the raucousness that goes on.
Oh yeah.
What is it that keeps on spearheading people to say, rock is dead? Which I personally don't believe rock is dead. I just believe it's a misconception of, if you don't like rock, then there's just never going to be a taste for you, and that's how you think, and maybe that's your fault. Maybe you just have you don't have the ear for it. But really, rock has never went away. Like it's huge, and it spawns and it keeps on spreading. So like, what do you say to those that say rock is dead? Like, is it, or am I just fooling myself because like I own this radio station? I'm like, please don't be dead.
Rock is alive and well, and just like always, it works in cycles. Even when it's at the bottom of the cycle, it's not dead; it's alive. But
Yeah.
what I mean by that is, as far as like the big radio stations and MTV, which doesn't really even exist anymore, and all that, it's what they're pushing on the big corporate level. So it comes in cycles, man. Right now, it's been hip hop for a while, but I have a feeling that's kind of getting to where rock got before it died, where everything's starting to sound the same, even with rap and stuff. So I think people are starting get stale with that, and it'll make its evolution again. But especially in Europe, overseas, man, a rock is way more alive than it's ever been, and it's still
Man,
alive here. Like you said, we have all the biggest festivals. I mean, I go to shows all the time that are just packed to the gild, so it's alive. And I think some of the people that say rock is dead, it's just because their band is dead. You know what I'm saying? Like
could be.
their band may have ran its course and they feel
Yep.
like it's dead, but go to another show, you know, and it's
Yep.
definitely alive and well. And actually, I feel like it's starting to come back to the top of the circle again. It's starting to make a resurgence.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And it's starting to get that feel of 98, summer of 99, 2000, the new metal invasion. It's just a lot of people don't want to use the term. And I've been preaching that for the last 6 months. And now I'm starting to see all these articles, Loudwire, Metal Hammer. They're finally saying new metal is making a comeback. And I'm like, yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's like people saying they were hippies back in the day. Now we embrace my mom and dad. They were hippies.
Yeah.
Here we go. New metal. We're all new metal kids. We all come from that cloth. We're all cut from that era. And it is some of the best music that we had to offer that got the most, I think, longevity out of it. Not the saying that the Van Halens and the Kiss and the AC/DCs, but it kind of either love AC/DC or you don't. You love Van Halen, you love Metallica or you don't. You know what I mean? But like bands like Saliva, like Disturbed, Limp Bizkit, that whole Linkin Park.
Or
There's even some haters that
yeah.
Korn. You may hate one song, but you might find another song on that same exact album that you absolutely love. And then back in the day, you go and buy that album. Now you just stream it or however you do that.
Yeah.
But it's just something about that new metal sound. It's got something for everybody. It's got something for everybody. And I think that's a lot of I hear a lot of that in Coldwards. And I read I can't remember where the article came from, but it basically it said Coldwards 2023, look out, here they come. And it was new wave sound on a modern rock spin with the new metal sound with Paul Crosby behind the kit. And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, you couldn't have wrote that better. Like you couldn't describe that better. So
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm the type of dude to where I just see rock or metal. It's all in one big family. All the sub-genre crap, I don't really buy into that, man. It's just heavy metal to me. It's always been hard rock, heavy metal.
Yep.
Metal to me is like, death metal kind of. That's like but it's still all in the metal family. I mean, like you said, a majority of bands, no matter how heavy or how loud they are, there's at least a few songs of theirs that I jam. You know what I meant? I may not the ones I don't like, but I like everything from Garth Brooks to Cannibal Corpse, man. You know what I'm saying? If
I'm
it's
with
a good song and it moves me, I'm in.
Yep. I'm with you. I'm right there with you. So like, what were some of your, because I don't ever hear you talk about any of that. And in any of these interviews or just talking to you over the years, what are some of your influences either growing up or today?
Growing up, man, I grew up in in the 80s. So, but my biggest influence, believe it or not, as a drummer, what really made me want to be a drummer was Lars Ulrich. And I know a lot of people, he catches a lot of hate, man, but I think he's a great drummer, man,
Yeah.
But that's, Metallica, Master of Puppets kind of changed my whole perspective on life. You know what I'm saying? That album.
Yeah. Hell
So
yeah.
that's what really made me want to be a drummer. But I was into Motley Crue and all of the 80s, Rat, all that good stuff, man.
Nice.
But those were my main influences. And then later in the 90s, Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater became one of my drum influences, even though I can't play anywhere near as good as he can. But, you take little bits and pieces of your influences and kind of make it into your own thing. And today, man, there are so many new bands coming out now that obviously I just do music for a living. As far as aside from the band, I do management and all that. So I'm constantly seeing numbers, which and in the numbers they're saying that new metal influenced music is definitely making a huge comeback. But I see so many new bands coming out that are just great, man. It's there's too many to list, but I really feel like rock is getting back to what it needs to be. You know what I mean? It got stale for a while. It was kind of,
I agree.
It was kind of like one thing, one chunky riff and some Cookie Monster vocals, and then every band said we can do it better than that, but then sounded exactly like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I
Yes.
come from the school to where you're influenced by stuff, but you take your influences and make it your own, not think I can do it better than that. I'm going to sound just like this band and this band. Even like, I'm not even a fan of bands, independent bands, are notorious for this. If you like so and so and so and so, you'll love our.
Mm,
Don't lump yourself in a cat.
yes.
That. Let
Yes.
people figure out what you sound like on their own.
Yes. Oh man, especially being in this position, like when a band sells themselves like that, like you said, like it's kind of like it almost makes you look for it. If you tell me you sound like Corn and I don't know, Rat had a baby and it doesn't sound that way, you might be awesome, but I almost all of a sudden I'm not listening for that. I can't hear it because I don't hear any Corn or Rat. And you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, yes, so I'm with you. I agree with you a million percent. If you're just now tuning in, I got Paul Crosby from Coldwards. Got a new single coming out a little bit later on in the year, actually next month. I know we can't talk about it too much. We can just tell everybody that there is new tunes coming out, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. The single we're going to drop. The only reason we can't talk about release date is because I don't actually have the release date. I'm told it's going to be sometime late July, so I'm sure we'll be getting that set in stone sometime over the next week or so, and making posts about it. But the single's called "Bad News," and I think it's one of the best songs we've written to date. Pretty pumped about it. Video's already done. And it'll release the same date as the single, so it'll probably be all over the airwaves next month.
Yes, that's very awesome. Very awesome. And on top of you still drumming, you're still in the game. You're also doing the management thing now too. So like talk about some of your bands that you have, some of these up and coming bands, because they're all I've heard them all, I've seen them all. They're all hit, right? They're all a hit. So
Yeah,
just give love to some of the bands.
I try to, I get some band submissions like nonstop all day every day, but unfortunately not a most of those bands aren't up to the caliber of, I got to see something I can work with, man. You know what I meant? um
Yep.
but Dark Remedy is one. They have a new single actually dropping on Friday as well. I actually play drums on all of Dark Remedy's recordings, and I've been in the videos as well. Um, they don't have a drummer, so it's kind of like, all right, I can play drums, so let's do it. Um, there's another band called Blacklist Union. I've been friends with Tony, the singer, for like 20 years. I don't play drums on his recordings, but I've been in his last few videos just because he's in the process of putting a lineup together. So I manage and still play drums for on some of these bands' stuff. Silent Theory is probably the biggest band that I have on my management. Um, they have a brand new single called "Just My Luck" that actually features Josie Scott from Saliva on it. That
Oh
drops
yeah.
Friday, and the
Hell
video.
yeah.
So much stuff happening, man. It's just nonstop, man.
That's
I
awesome.
do management full time now when I'm not doing my band. Well, I do my band and management full time.
Mm.
So I basically have a home office, and I am at my desk 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and usually even later than that. It's my full time grind. A lot of good bands on my roster, man. Go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Paul Crosby Management, and you can scroll through and see. I post about all of my bands pretty much constantly, man, to just try to help keep it out there. A lot of good music. Another band is called As Tides Rise. Young kids from Lincoln, Nebraska. I mean, so many bands that
Nice.
are great up and coming bands.
Yes. Yeah. And like you say, there's never not a day that I click online and I don't see something from the Paul Crosby stream with another band. Just like you say, you never stopped. It never stopped. It's where we get a lot of our music. We're not gonna lie. We get
Well,
a
it's
lot
like,
of our music from you.
yeah, and it's like thing, man, is I have, well, especially now that I'm in a band with my sons, at this point I can truly say that I have accomplished all of my musical goals and dreams, right?
Yeah.
But my take on it is I want to help some of these newer bands get the chance to accomplish their dreams. So that's one of my main passions for doing management is I want to help other people now experience what I got to experience.
Nice.
So that's on my list.
Was that something you always set out to do? Was that like a goal of yours, or that just kind of just happened the whole with band with your sons? It's because it's got to. I couldn't imagine. Like I've got young kids, right? But I couldn't imagine doing anything. But you literally get to sit back at the kit and just watch your kids go to work.
Absolutely.
That's got to be something amazing.
It's pretty badass, man. It's right up there on my on my top list of accomplishments. And the fact that they're good makes it even better.
There it is.
All parents are gonna praise their kids for whatever they do, but they're good, so it makes it even better. You know what I mean?
Makes it all that much better. So that's gonna be badass. Well, like I said, joining us, Paul Crosby from Coldwards. Go check them out online. They're on all the socials. They have all their music out. On Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, everywhere where you can find music. We play them right here on the Asylum, just everywhere. You guys are out there. When I guess my last question would be, 2023 is almost over for that festival run. So 2024 Coldwards festival leg. Yeah.
Yeah. We're actually pitching to all of the festivals for next year. We're still planning on doing some stuff this year, whether it be festivals or some mini tours with some other nationals later on the year. But we were recording and we have this new single coming out. We're going to push that to radio everywhere and then go out and support that. So we're kind of in a lull right now, which is why we're not really doing any shows, but we're planning on hopefully being on all the festivals next year, a bunch of them, as many as we can, and really stepping it up a notch for 2024.
Awesome. Well, if you guys find yourself in Nashville this year and beyond, you have to stop in, say, hey, Nashville, I know that Nashville's a hotbed for rock music nowadays. Absolutely. And so we'll have to do it. Thank you, sir, for your time. It's been fun. Been a long time coming. We finally got one in the book, so you're welcome back anytime.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right. Stick around.